5 spine-chilling wilderness horror stories exposing sinister secrets that will haunt you forever. Lila stood on the edge of the Maple Hollow woods, her heart pounding as the chilling autumn wind twisted through the branches like a ghostly hand. The edges of the trees seemed to close in on her, whispering secrets of horrific tales long forgotten. It was supposed to be a trip to gather laughter and warmth by the fire with her 2 children, Jacob and Emma. But the air thickened with dread, unsettling remnants from the recent home invasion they survived, echoing with each snap of a twig. It felt wrong, like they were stepping into a trap concealed in nature's deceitful beauty. As they settled into their campsite, laughter shared over toasted marshmallows turned hollow. When her phone buzzed, a sense of unease washed over her. The unknown number flashed ominously, the shadows growing now as she read the terse messages. Neighbors were disappearing, and behind every seemingly friendly smile lay malicious intent. The stories in town were whispered warnings, dark tales of lost souls. Just as she began to dismiss it, Emma clutched her stuffed rabbit, wide-eyed, pointing to the trees. "Mom, I saw something moving." A chill skittered down Lila's spine, yet she feigned calmness. The forest soon was alive with low growls and rustling sounds that twisted her gut in knots. Panic danced on the fringes of her mind as night fell, painting the woods in ominous darkness. Each snap of a branch sent her pulse racing. Jacob's laughter faded into the night, and the eerie echoes of Mom sent terror crashing into her chest. The realization hit hard: what if she couldn't protect them? Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The next day, anxiety clouded her mind. The woods felt alive, but not in a comforting way. When Jacob and Emma wandered off during a hike, the world tilted beneath her. "Jacob. Emma." Her voice cracked in the suffocating silence, swallowed whole. With each futile call, dread unfurled within her like vines, coiling tighter around her heart. The forest transformed into a labyrinth, a hunter's maze designed to ensnare. Rushing deeper among the oaks, she stumbled upon markings on the trees, crude symbols that seemed to pulse with malice. They mirrored the ominous tales whispered back in town, a dark folklore she had tried to ignore. She could no longer brush off thoughts of being watched. Shadows flitted at the edges of her vision. Had she entered a realm where monsters wore human faces? Just as she spotted a familiar figure in the distance, hope surged. Was it her children? Or had she unwittingly walked straight into the jaws of a predator? An icy grip on her heart told her one undeniable truth: the real horror lay not only in these woods but in the very fabric of her community. As she took that one decisive step forward, the whisper of dread lingered in the air, and the darkness awaited her answer. What had once been her refuge was now a chilling testament to betrayal, and unraveling this twisted tale would take every ounce of courage she had left. Every step felt heavy as Lila approached the figure in the distance. Her heart raced, the familiar outline of her children promising salvation, yet the shadows around her pulsed with dread. "Jacob. Emma." She shouted again, desperation clawing at her throat. The figure moved, but it wasn't running toward her, it was gliding oddly, as if it weren't quite human. "Mom." A voice finally echoed back, but it was Jacob's, filled with panic. As Lila sprinted closer, she realized the shape was wrong. Jacob stood there, but something was off. His eyes were wild, glinting under the dim light, and he kept glancing over his shoulder, biting his lip as if holding back tears. "Emma. Where's Emma?" Lila demanded, trying to mask her fear with urgency. "Mom. We found a cave." Jacob's voice trembled, confusion spilling into his words. "But it's not like a cave. It's dark, Mom. Really dark." Panic twisted in Lila's gut. Where is she? I don't know. She went inside. I told her not to before he could finish. A low growl resonated from the trees nearby, a deep, rumbling growl that made her body freeze, blood turning to ice. Abandoning thoughts of shelter, she grabbed Jacob's hand, urgency racing through her. We need to find her. Now. Lila pulled him into the shadowy embrace of the woods, each step feeling like a descent into hell. They raced along twisted roots that clawed at their legs, lights dancing in their memories like fading stars. The growl echoed again, closer this time, wrapping around them like a noose. Mom, I don't like it here, Jacob whimpered. His small hand trembled in hers, and Lila's instincts screamed that darkness was layering over them, swallowing them whole. Suddenly, they arrived at the entrance to the cave Jacob mentioned. Stone jutted from the earth like jagged teeth, and the black maw seemed to pulse with an unnatural life, beckoning them inside. A sudden sense of wrongness enveloped her. Stay close. Stepping into the cave was like stepping into a void. The air turned thick, damp, almost suffocating. Lila's breath felt shallow, echoing against the cold stone walls. Emma. Can you hear us? Her voice trembled, wavering through the empty darkness. Silence. Mom. Jacob's voice quavered. I don't want to go any further. We can't leave her behind, she whispered as she tightly held Jacob's hand. Suddenly, she heard a faint cry, a soft whimper that carried through the heavy air. Emma. Lila yelled, bolting deeper into the suffocating blackness, her fear propelling her forward. The echoes spiraled around them, strange noises mingling with Emma's cries, becoming a chorus of terror. Then she saw it. The light, a soft, ghastly glow emanating from deeper within the cave. A dim flicker that unnervingly danced and twisted. She knew with absolute certainty that this was wrong, that whatever lay beyond that light was not intended for human eyes. Jacob, wait! She snapped. But it was too late. He darted ahead, propelled by reckless bravery or maybe something else drawing him toward the light. The air thickened as she shouted, "Come back." Panic surged as her heart raced. She hurtled after him, but as she closed the distance, the cries became twisted shrieks, echoing off the jagged walls, warping the reality of the sound. Just as she reached him, Jacob stumbled, tears streaming down his face as he stared into what lay beyond. Mom, I can't. Then silence fell heavy like a blanket, and the ground beneath them trembled. That flicker of light morphed into a ravenous darkness, as if feasting on hope itself. And in the silence, a voice broke through, a voice so familiar it sent shivers down her spine. Mom, help me! The cave yawned before her like a beast ready to swallow them whole, and a piercing realization locked down her heart. What if Emma was never supposed to come back? Lila took a deep breath, her heart hammering, and stepped closer into the consuming darkness, knowing that something awaited her. In that moment, she understood that the forest wasn't the only place holding secrets. What lay ahead could bind them in chains forever or set them free. The darkness didn't just engulf them, it enveloped them like a thick fog. Lila's heart pounded in her chest, a rhythm of fear that echoed through the cavernous space. The cry that had chilled her blood hung in the air, twisting into an agonizing wail as it faltered, then disappeared, swallowed by the oppressive gloom. Mom! I can't see. Jacob's voice trembled, a soft whimper against the silence now heavy with menace. The prospect of losing Jacob too clawed at her. She tightened her grip on his hand, feeling the warmth of his small fingers seep reassuringly into hers, a brief light in this endless night. Stay close, Lila murmured, instinctively drawing him behind her as they ventured further into the cave. Each step seemed to echo, as if the walls were mocking their fear. The flickering glow still beckoned, a deceptive siren-esque call, promising safety while veiling whatever lurked just beyond. Emma, she called out again, desperation tinged with an urge to break through the miasma of terror flooding her senses. No answer. Just the distant echo of her voice fading into sorrowful nothingness. Was it the cave's design or something else mocking her, distorting her pleas into cruel jests? Suddenly, an icy draft rushed past her, whispering secrets of the void. It sent chills skittering across her skin, raising the hairs on the back of her neck. Jacob gasped, and she turned to find him frozen in place, eyes wide, fixated on something deeper in the shadows, the light now shining weakly but noticeably dimmer. "Mom, I feel something," he stammered, his breath hitching. "It's not right." She nodded, feeling the truth of his words scrape brutally under her ribs. "We need to keep moving," she urged, fighting against the rising sense of dread. Just then, a low hum vibrated through the rock, resonating through her bones. It grew louder, wrapping around them like an unseen force. The flickering became less gentle and more urgent, as if whatever lay ahead was alive, pulsating, waiting. It felt hungry. "Emma." Lila pushed forward, her voice breaking. "Please, answer me." And then she heard it again, a laugh. Low and gurgling, slipping from the shadows like a serpent in the grass. It was wrong. It wasn't her daughter's voice, but it twisted her heart like a knife. A soft giggle, childlike yet perverse. Her stomach lurched. "Mom, I don't want to be here." Jacob whimpered, pressing closer to her. She took a steadying breath, but it only earned her a mouthful of dank, suffocating air. There was no turning back. No retreat. They had come too far. As they approached the edge of the light, Lila faltered. The ground was oddly smooth, almost unnatural. The light cast shadows that flickered and twisted like hands clawing at the ground in silent anguish. She could barely see beyond it. Was that a figure? A silhouette in the glow, still and waiting? "Mom, I think I see her," Jacob said, pulling away, eyes brightening with hope. But something in Lila's gut twisted sharply. She didn't want to believe. "What are you?" But before she could finish, Jacob flung himself toward the light. "Jacob, no!" Lila screamed, lunging after him, fear mounting with each step. He reached the shadowy figure and froze, eyes wider than ever, mouth opening to speak. But the laughter returned, louder now, swirling around them like a maelstrom. The figure shifted, not in joy, but something far more sinister. Jacob stumbled back, his expression cracked, horror blooming in his gaze. "Mom, it's not her. It's something else." As the shadows coalesced, coiling around the light to snuff it out, Lila realized with chilling clarity, they weren't just trying to find Emma. They were being drawn into something dark, something ancient. The laughter crescendoed into a cacophony, all sense of direction slipping away as she tore back toward her son, her heart racing against the shadows threatening to overtake them. "Jacob! Run!" she shouted, her voice a desperate anchor in the swirling chaos. What they might find beyond the light remained a horrific mystery, but they would have to confront it together, or the darkness would claim them both. As they fled deeper into the unknown, the voices rose again, a chilling chorus echoing Emma's name, wrapping around them like a dark promise. What if Emma had found a way to join them, or was it something darker still that awaited them? The chaos slowed but didn't cease. With every step deeper into the shadows, Lila felt the oppressive horror tighten its grip. The cavern walls seemed to pulse, alive in their own way, shoving her fears back into the recesses of her mind. "Look, Mom!" Jacob's voice cut through the haze, trembling yet laced with that insistent spark of innocence. He pointed ahead, and as Lila followed his gaze, the darkness shifted again. A faint glimmer appeared like a star trying to cut through a storm cloud. "Is that?" she whispered, not daring to voice the name. "It might be Emma." Jacob's eyes reflected hope, a beacon in the suffocating black. Yet every instinct inside her screamed caution. Hope here felt like a trap. They pressed on, squinting against the dim light. Dead silence encased them, broken only by the low hum that now morphed into a low wailing, a collective sorrow echoing from the cavern depths. The laughter still stung the air, darting around them like a wretched playmate. Lila took Jacob's hand tighter. "Stay close. Don't let go." As they approached, the figure in the light sharpened into focus. It wasn't Emma. The realization hit like a cold wave crashing down. A pale hand extended from the shadows, gripping the darkness as if it were a lifeline. It was small, frail, delicate, certainly not adult-sized. Lila, the whisper curled around her, eerily familiar, soft and haunting, only it wasn't Emma's voice. Fear blasted through Lila's chest as she recognized who it was. Clara. The name slid out, breaking like glass on stone. Clara had been a girl from their neighborhood years ago, sweet and friendly until something terrible had happened, a tragedy that had cast a dark shadow over the community. Yet here she stood, alone in the murk, eyes wide and shimmering, pleading. Jacob stepped forward. Clara, is that you? Help me, she beckoned, her voice carrying a distant pull that made Lila's skin prickle. She needs you. Come, we can find her together. Lila felt Jacob tug against her grip, filled with an unshakable desire to run towards the specter. Their past collided in that moment, memories flooding her mind, Clara's laughter, the echo of a bright summer day before everything had shattered. But Clara wasn't just a friend, she was a ghost story, a dark chapter best left untouched. Don't move, Jacob. Lila hissed, forcing a reality back into clarity. That's not her. That's not real. The words tasted like ash in her mouth. But behind Clara, shadows fluttered like broken wings. They contorted, morphing into nightmare shapes. From the edges of the cavern, more figures emerged, their laughter mingling into a chorus of the damned. Lila's chest clenched tight, the ancient dread thrumming through her. Mom, please. Jacob called, eyes shimmering with tears. She's just lost. Lost? Or trapped? Lila ripped her gaze from Clara's eyes, feeling the weight of despair in Jacob's plea. We're not playing their game. As the shadows lunged, clawing at the edges of the light, the cavern seemed to swell with their tortured cries. They whispered secrets of despair and loss, wrapping around Lila like chains, trying to pull her under. Run! She yelled, shoving Jacob behind her, as panic ignited the last remnants of her strength. The figures surged forward, hungry for her fear, each face a chilling reflection of those claimed by the abyss. They stumbled back, slipping and gasping as the pale hands swirled around them. Lila threw herself forward, blindly pushing deeper into the black. But just as she felt the cold grip of a shadow encircle her ankle, she spotted another shimmering light ahead, clear and fierce, breaking against the darkness. It flickered with life and urgency. Jacob! She cried. We have to reach it. Yet, behind them, the laughter swelled into a furious roar, drowning out all thoughts. The warmth of Jacob's hand slipped just as she lunged toward the light, lost to the terror brewing in the dark. The echo of their cries rolled and screeched like banshees at the edge of consciousness. In that moment of sheer desperation, all Lila could do was run towards the flickering hope, praying it led to escape rather than annihilation. But could she save Jacob from the shadows intent on claiming him? Was the light their salvation, or merely another trick of the darkness? The light glimmered, drawing Lila like a moth to a flame. She could feel every heartbeat slamming in her ears, drowning out the laughter that echoed behind her. Shadows shifted, movements that felt malicious and alive, each sound a taunt. Jacob! Stay with me! Panic clawed at her throat. She could barely think. Each glance back filled her with dread. Clara's pale face lingered in her mind, an echo whispering promises she dared not believe. Mom! Jacob's voice was sharp against the low wail of the cavern as he stumbled. The light flickered again, as if inviting them closer, but Lila couldn't shake the feeling that it was merely mocking their desperation. They fell behind a ragged formation of stone, breathless. Their eyes searched, breathing heavy, faces pale with anxiety. Lila could hear the soft skittering of something in the shadows. They were being hunted. Look! Jacob pointed, voice quivering, as he pulled her forward again. In the shimmering light, a figure began to take shape, this one more defined, almost solid. A woman with wild hair, eyes dark and piercing. She stood oddly still, as if the light flickered around her, reflecting off her form but never quite reaching her. "What do you want?" Lila demanded, stepping in front of Jacob. The protective instinct bloomed inside her, fueled by a blend of fear and determination. "We need to help her," the woman said, her voice echoing, soft but insistent. Lila's heart dropped. "Help who?" "Emma," the woman sighed dramatically, each word laced with sorrow. "She's trapped here, just like we were. You must listen." "No." Lila shouted, shaking her head, feeling the tight band of terror. "You're trying to get us to follow you into the dark." Jacob shrank back, eyes wet. "Isn't she telling the truth? By promising something we can't see?" Lila countered. "We can't trust anyone here." But the shadows crept closer, their whispers wrapping tighter around her thoughts. "You have to make a choice," the woman said, stepping closer, her gaze fixated on Lila. "Every moment you linger, the darkness grows hungry. It wants to take Jacob, or you." Lila felt chills run down her spine. The light flickered again, illuminating the depths of the cavern. Behind the woman, Lila caught moments of Clara's distorted face pressing against the shadows, eyes wide with a haunting plea. "We're running out of time." Jacob whimpered, gripping her hand tighter. In a flash, Lila made up her mind. "How do we get to Emma?" she asked, defiance embedded in her voice. "Follow me." The woman beckoned, turning toward the darkness beyond the light. "No!" Lila screamed. "We can't just trust her." The air thickened with dread, shadows swirling like smoke, almost tangible, drawn towards their fear. "Mom, please." Jacob's voice quaked. "What if she can help? What if she's not lying?" But as the woman turned back, Lila noticed a flicker in her eyes, something dark and sinister, a reminder of what Clara had been. Was this another ghost trying to lead them to doom? Or a chance to save Emma? The cavern trembled, releasing a low growl as if angered by their hesitation. Memories flooded Lila's mind, faces of those connected to Clara's tragedy intertwining with her thoughts, illuminating the power of their past, the burdens they carried. With every second wasted, she felt the cavern close in on them. The shadows tightened their grip, laughter bubbling into an unholy frenzy. "Choose." "Now," the woman's voice demanded, sharp yet eerily calm. Lila glanced at Jacob, torn. They had to act. Whatever choice they made could seal their fate. Then, without warning, the flickering light extinguished, plunging them into darkness. The laughter morphed, echoing with a chilling delight, a cacophony rising to a fever pitch. "Jacob!" Lila yelled, reaching out, searching lost in the void. Fingers grasped at her wrists, pulling her away from Jacob's cries. The abyss opened, shadows slithering around her ankles, pulling her back while Jacob's terrified shrieks pierced through the chaos. "Mom!" The ground beneath her shifted, and as darkness enveloped her, she realized this was not just about choices, but sacrifices. What would she lose to save him? And could she even save herself before she became another whisper in the shadows? The cold seeped in deeper, paralyzing Lila as everything faded, her final thought a desperate scream for Jacob in the void. What had she stepped into? And would she ever find her way back to the light? The weight of darkness pressed down on Lila, squeezing the breath from her lungs. The moment was a haze of panic and raw fear as shadows curled around her like dying vines, hoping to suffocate any last flickers of hope. Jacob's voice echoed in the nothingness, a small beacon that only grew fainter as fear grew bolder. "Mom!" His plea was desperate, filled with the innocence of his youth, but even that was swallowed by the darkness threatening to claim them. "Jacob!" Lila shrieked, but her voice faltered. It clawed at her throat as the nothingness thickened, dampening her screams and muffling all sounds besides the eerie laughter floating around her like a sinister fog. Something gripped her arm, not Jacob, a cold, clammy touch that sent icy shivers racing up her spine. Her heart raced, pounding against her ribcage, a frantic drumbeat matching the illusion of footsteps approaching. She fought the urge to recoil, knowing too well the predator lurking in the shadows would feast upon her fear. Help! The voice was soft, fragile, a wispy echo almost lost within the surrounding chaos. It held a sorrowful weight, tinged with regret. Who is it? Lila said, forcing her voice steady, trying to keep her thoughts organized when everything around her seemed to spiral into madness. Show yourself. A flicker caught her eye. A pale hand, trembling, reached out from the shadows. It trembled and withdrew, terrified of the darkness surrounding it. The light behind the hand flickered, and Lila wished desperately for that glow to return, to push the shadows back, to fill her with hope. With a sudden surge of courage, Lila lunged forward, trying to grasp the hand but meeting nothing. A soft sob echoed, and she realized it belonged to a girl, younger than Jacob, lost amidst the shadows. Emma, she voiced, the name tumbling into the void, hoping for a response. I'm trapped. The voice splintered in the air, a whimper echoing around them. Help me. Where are you? Lila pressed, her heart clenching at the thought that this could be the Emma the woman had mentioned. But then doubt crept in like a phantom. Is this a trick? Mom, don't. Jacob shouted, fear freezing him in place. No. I can reach her, Jacob. Lila insisted, stepping toward the voice, desperate for a thread of light in the suffocating darkness. With each step she took, shadows lunged toward her, the air growing sharp and cruel. Get back! She shouted, unwilling to be claimed. The shadows recoiled only slightly, swirling around her legs as she fought to keep focus. Then it came. An unsettling chill swept through the cavern. The laughter returned, but it morphed into a symphony of cries and wails, a cacophony of lost souls. The shadows shivered in delight, a hunger emanating like breath on her neck. The girl's voice brimmed with urgency, please, I need you. They want to let me go. They want to take you too. The grip of dread tightened, washing over Lila. Could this girl truly help them? Or was she just another illusion, another empty promise waiting to lure them deeper into despair? Mom, they're lying, Jacob whispered, trembling beside her, pulling at Lila's hem. We shouldn't. Suddenly, the darkness pulsed, and an overwhelming force pushed Lila back. The shifting shadows surged forward with alarming speed, a rush of claws and whispers sweeping her off her feet. Lila! Jacob cried out, and just like that, she lost him in the tidal wave of inky blackness. Panic ignited anew, filling every crevice of her mind. Jacob! She screamed, heart racing, adrenaline crashing like waves around her. But the shadows only laughed, drowning out her voice as they grasped for her again. Make your choice. The girl's voice came again, sharper this time, tinged with desperation. Or you will both be lost forever. Lila felt the frost of realization settle deep within, crystallizing her fear into an icy resolve. She had to act, to decide, to save him before the shadows turned everything they loved to ash, but could she trust a ghostly plea among so many lies? And as the shadows closed in, she understood they would have to face the darkness together, or be swallowed whole. But in her heart, a chilling question thrummed louder than applause. What if the shadows knew her deepest fears? Would they use them to tear them apart? As the darkness thickened, Lila knew time was running out. It was now or never, and the pull of the shadows made her wonder if their choice was ever truly theirs to begin with. Lila's breath hitched in her chest as the shadows pressed closer, snaking around her like tendrils of smoke. It was changing. This was no longer just darkness, it was a living thing. She could feel it, hungry, pulsating with malevolent intent. She dared not look back for Jacob. The haunting laughter spurred her forward, offering fleeting glimpses of light that flickered like dying stars. Emma! Where are you? She called, voice taut. If that girl was real, Lila needed her. If not, she shivered at the thought. Mom, stay with me. Jacob's voice was a strained whisper, tugging at Lila's fragile resolve. The sound of his fear sliced through her, a lifeline woven from desperation. Emma! She shouted again, her voice trembling, merging with the wails that clawed at her mind. I'm coming. In the depths of the encroaching shadows, a flicker of white caught Lila's eye. The hand appeared again, more insistent this time. A glimmer of hope ignited. She lunged toward it, heart racing, but the shadows recoiled with an angry hiss. Lila, no. Jacob shouted, his voice a sharp blade of fear aimed at her resolve. She hesitated for just a moment, and the darkness seized that moment, coiling tighter around her. I have to save her. Lila cried, her voice mingling with the frantic whispers. I can't leave her. The shadows surged again, their claws touching her skin, icy and unyielding. It felt like thousands of tiny pinpricks, each one whispering her deepest fears, feeding off her anxiety. Mom! Please! Jacob's hands clutched her arm, grounding her. We can't trust them. They'll take you. Jacob. Lila felt the warmth of him, a stark contrast to the void surrounding them. The girl was still out there so close, and yet, this moment felt like a fragile thread dangling over an abyss. Emma, the name tasted bitter on her tongue. Then, a guttural growl reverberated through the darkness, vibrating the very air around them. Shadows pooled and gathered, shapes moving like a pack of wolves. Lila felt the cold sweat trickle down her back. Who are you? Lila shouted, hoping for a reply, but only silence answered her. Make your choice. The girl's voice burst through again, sharp and piercing, as if sounding a judgment. Or both shall fall. Panic clawed at Lila's throat. What do I do? She screamed, desperation echoing in the crushing void. Was she really willing to sacrifice everything for an unseen girl? What if she's lying? Jacob's voice trembled against her ear. What if she's one of them? But Lila couldn't shake the urgency. This girl had called for help, and trapped souls didn't lie, or did they? The shadows around them grew restless, whispering again, with dark promises and dreadful visions. Time is running out, the girl's voice echoed, layering itself with the darkness. You have to decide. It was suffocating, this twisted game set against her. Lila's thoughts spiraled as she stood at the edge of a gaping chasm of despair. Her heart raced wildly, pounding a frantic rhythm that matched the sinister laughter all around. Jacob, I don't know what to do. I can't lose you. Then we stand together. He cried back, voice fierce despite the fear that radiated from him. Lila felt his grip tighten. It was a reminder that they were still a team, entwined by blood and shared horror, and then, just when the shadows seemed ready to devour them whole, Lila saw it, a glimmer, faint under layers of darkness. It was a reflection, or perhaps a shadow of hope. Emma! She yelled one last time, risking it all, but the darkness shifted. Shadows launched toward them, oppressive and overwhelming, as a deafening roar echoed through the battleground of night. What did it want from them? What would they have to give up to escape its clutches? As the darkness closed around them and the ground trembled beneath their feet, Lila made a choice. In this moment, courage flickered within her, brighter than any curse the shadows could invoke. But would it be enough to save them both? The next heartbeat hung heavy with unanswered questions. Silent whispers swirled and converged around her, leading her deeper. Into the unknown had she sealed their fate? The howl of the darkness threatened to suffocate Lila as it consumed the space around her. She could feel Jacob's tight grip on her arm, anchoring her to sanity. Light flickered, no, it pulsed like the last ember of a dying fire. Desperation pooled in her veins. Mom, we have to do something. Jacob's voice, fraught with panic, pulled her back from the brink. What if we just keep moving? She suggested, her mind racing. Each heartbeat thudded in her ears, a deafening reminder of the stakes. Maybe we can find a way out. Or deeper into this nightmare. Jacob shot back. Yet behind his defiance, Lila heard a tremor that belied his fears. She could sense it too, an encroaching dread that threatened to swallow them whole. The shadows roared again, pushing in closer, and the air was alive with whispers. They hissed in her ears, clawing at her resolve, begging her to join the embrace of the dark. Forgotten memories surfaced, like porcelain dolls shattered in a lost attic. "Emma!" Lila shouted again, but her voice barely cut through the haze of despair. Suddenly, silence fell, an unnatural hush blanketing them. The shadows stilled, waiting, watching. A heaviness descended, as if the very atmosphere had conspired to draw them into a deeper abyss. "What now?" Lila breathed, her throat tight. "Make your choice," the girl's voice echoed delicately, now a soft caress, calming yet filled with menace. It floated through the darkness, wrapping around them like a vine. "Leave this boy behind and find your daughter. Or lose them both." "No." Jacob clutched her tighter. "I want to let you choose me over her." Lila's heart thudded painfully in her chest, panic fluttering wildly inside her. But something inside her crumbled at the unyielding choice. It felt more like betrayal than salvation. "Emma needs me," she cried out, desperation creeping into her voice. Each breath pulled shadows closer, and she cursed the girl, the monsters that lurked within the pitch black, every decision that thrust them here. Why can't she just be here? The darkness seethed, furious. Chains of nightmares rattled as weighty tendrils reached for her, seeking purchase on her skin. Lila staggered back, fighting to keep her balance while her mind frantically swirled with what-ifs. "Mom, don't. If you let the darkness in, it will take you," Jacob urged, but the grip of the gray depths compelled her forward. "I can't lose you. Please. I don't care." She expected that cry to hit him like a slap, but instead, they merely merged with the darkness around them. "I can't let Emma down again." The looming shadows erupted, their forms shifting, anguished faces leering at her from the void. Drifting wisps felt like hands brushing over her, pulling her toward terrible reality stood before her in glimpses. Emma's cries, a playground shrouded in fog, laughter that twisted into moans. Lila felt the air shift, the weight of decision clawing at her. "Jacob, I have to know if she is real." "No." Jacob's scream echoed against the creeping shadows, forcing Lila into a moment of clarity. Could she really let go of her son? The choice lay heavy on her heart, etching a chasm between love and obligation. And in that split second, the darkness surged forward, an avalanche of despair. She was drowning, overcome by echoes of lost promises and guilt, and for that fleeting moment, she believed she might succumb to it. But something beyond the shadows flickered, a faint warmth that felt familiar. Time stopped. Lila looked at her son, her lifeline. Every moment spent in his company pulsed through her veins, igniting a spark of defiance. Together, she gasped, and the air shimmered around them, confronted by a choice made in unison. They would face whatever terror lay ahead. As shadows roared, she took his hand, feeling the strength that surged between them. "We'll find her together." With a final cry that shattered the silence, they pushed forward into the void, determined to reclaim hope against all odds. But as the darkness stretched out around them, mocking their resolve, Lila felt a cruel laugh echo through the shadows. "Your choice has been made. Now face the consequences." What awaited them in the depths. They pressed onward, unaware that unraveling one secret might awaken another far more dangerous lurking in the darkness. The silence pressed in, a suffocating weight that clung to them as they moved deeper into the void. Shadows danced along the edges of what little light remained, warping and twisting as if they were alive, intent on swallowing them whole. "Keep going," Lila whispered, her voice sounding small, even to her. Each step felt like betrayal, a delay in finding Emma, yet she couldn't shake off the nagging dread that they were being led into a far worse fate. Beside her, Jacob trembled, his breath shaky. "Mom, what if it's a trap?" "Shoo," she hushed him, straining her ears to catch any sound. The whispers returned, slithering through the dark like smoke. They weren't just voices, they were promises and threats. Each syllable twisted into a knife, carving into Lila's resolve. "They want us to doubt," she mumbled, feeling the heat of her son's body next to hers. "We can't again, Jacob. Remember Emma, she needs us." The darkness seemed to pulse in response, breathing with them. Suddenly, a low, rhythmic thumping filled the air. It was like a heartbeat, an echo of something larger and far more ominous than themselves. They stopped, hearts racing, eyes darting in every direction. "What is that?" Jacob whispered, his voice barely above a trembling breath. Lila glanced around, the shadows thickening, grasping for them. "We have to keep moving." But as they stepped forward, the thumping grew louder, reverberating through the ground, shaking Lila's bones. It wasn't indifferent, it felt like a warning, a creature drawing near, lurking just beyond sight. Jacob stopped, pulling back. "Mom, we can't go towards it." Lila felt panic clawing at her throat. "But we can't go back, either." Before she could make the next choice, a flash of light burst from the void. Blinding, it illuminated a path littered with twisted branches and dark, damp earth. In the center lay a garden, pitch-black roses, thorny and menacing, with buds that pulsated like the heart's rhythm. "What is this?" Jacob's voice caught in awe and dread. "Is that?" Lila looked closer. "Is that blood?" The flowers appeared to drip crimson, soaking into the ground, mingling with the shadows. She could hear whispers again, but now they surged like a tide, overwhelming them. "Just pick one," they urged, seductive and insistent. "Take what you desire but leave something behind." Lila's heart raced. The choice hung heavy between a mother's will and the way of the darkness. Once again, the thought of Emma surged within her. "Mom." Jacob pulled at her arm, terror written clear upon his face. "What if it's a trick? We can't trust them." The shadows shifted, closing in. They were losing time, losing hope. There must be a way through. The thumping was relentless, like a predator drawing near. Something large, something hungry was coming for them, and every breath of air felt heavy with the weight of their decision. "Take one of the roses," the whispers hissed, now mixing with anguished groans. "Let your heart's wish bloom." "No." Lila cried. "We won trade, we have to keep going." But the darkness shrieked in protest. The light flickered once more, revealing that the roses were shifting, their petals opening wide, revealing eyes that blinked. "We see you," they taunted. "You cannot run from what you've already chosen." A chill crept through Lila's spine. She didn't know what lay ahead, but the weight of the choice threatened to unravel everything. "Mom!" Jacob shouted, panic electrifying his voice. And then, the thumping crescendoed into a roar as a massive shadow lunged at them, ripping through the darkness. What kind of beast was emerging from the void? They barely had time to react before it thrust into sight, and with it came a new wave of terror. "Stay close!" Lila shouted as they braced for impact, knowing whatever came next would change everything forever. The beast burst forth from the swirling shadows, a grotesque amalgamation of forms and twisted faces that seemed to scream of every soul it had claimed. Its eyes, like hollow voids, locked onto Lila and Jacob, devouring their fear, growing stronger with every heartbeat. A low, guttural growl reverberated through the cavern, echoing deep within Lila's bones. Panic surged like wildfire in her chest, igniting instinct as she grasped Jacob's hand tighter. "Run!" she screamed, instinct taking over. They bolted, adrenaline fueling their escape as the beast tore through the darkness, thrashing against the cave walls with bone-rattling fury. Each booming step felt like an earthquake, shaking the very foundation beneath their feet. "Where do we go?" Jacob exclaimed, fear tightening his young voice. "Just keep moving." Lila shouted, tears blurring her vision but not her purpose. She felt desperation clawing at her throat as the shadows writhed, clawing for them, urging hesitation. Each flicker of light revealed the beast in flashes, the jagged teeth, the gaping maw, the hunger emanating like a palpable force that in frantic motion. They raced deeper into the shadows, past all the horrors woven into the fabric of the cavern, pushing aside the sickening whispers that slithered into their minds. "Emma!" We're coming. Lila yelled, heartened by family bonds, but fear danced on the edge, whispering doubts. Was Emma out there? And what price would they pay to find her? Suddenly, ahead, a flickering light beckoned through the chaos, a doorway illuminated by an otherworldly glow. Diving toward it felt like breaking free from a stranglehold, but the shadows roared behind them, angry and desperate. This way, she urged, sensing it might be their only chance. As they neared the shining veil, the beast lunged, its breath hot and rancid, brushing past them like a reaper's hand. It wasn't just an animal, it was a manifestation of their fears, the shadows of their past horrors given flesh. Time sped up, every heartbeat a countdown, a reckoning. With one final push, Lila leaped through the threshold, pulling Jacob along with her. They tumbled onto the cool, grassy ground, gasping for fresh air, surrounded by the familiar shadows of Maple Hollow woods. The oppressive weight lifted for a moment, but the danger still lingered in the air, familiar trees standing in the same half-darkness that had once felt comfortable. Mom, what if it comes back? Jacob's voice was fragile, the innocence of childhood cracking under the strain of loss. Then we fight, Lila said, even as a new dread curled around her heart. They had escaped, but they hadn't truly won yet, not until they found Emma. Not until they faced whatever true evil awaited them in this familiar space turned frightening. Just as they collected themselves, a sound pierced the stillness, a soft, shimmering giggle that fluttered through the trees like a haunting melody. Emma? Lila called out, the sound of her daughter's voice both sweet and terrifying. It was the same giggle they had cherished, yet beneath it, something sinister played a note of dissonance. Mom! It was her voice, echoing through the woods, drawing them in. Help me! With renewed purpose, Lila surged forward, bolstered by a fierce love and an instinct to protect, with Jacob running close beside her. They raced through the trees, branches tearing at their clothes, hearts pounding in unison. But as they entered a clearing, before them stood a figure, Emma, illuminated by the otherworldly shimmer that emanated from the cave. She was there, but something felt off. Her eyes shimmered bright, almost unnatural, her smile wide yet lacking warmth. Help me, Mom, she said, but her voice twisted, threading anxiety into Lila's heart. No! Lila shouted, fear ripping through her. This wasn't the Emma she knew. The shadows loomed around them, and she felt their voices creeping in, whispering that all was lost. Don't listen to her! Jacob cried, eyes wide and filled with tears as he instinctively pulled at Lila, trying to bring her back to the moment. Emma, come back! Lila cried, pulling Jacob against her. You're not lost. But the figure stepped forward, and Lila could see it now. The twisted branches of darkness were clinging around Emma, pulling her into its depths, blending her back into the void. The very essence of her daughter was being consumed, just like Clara, just like so many others. No! The word burst forth from Lila's chest as she dashed toward Emma, scrambling to reach her. Lila felt the shadows coil around her legs, dragging her back, but she pushed on. You're my daughter. You have to fight it. The deep, collective roar echoed through the trees, the beast behind them giving voice to the darkness creeping ever closer. Mom! Please! Emma's cry broke her heart, the innocence of it battling the oncoming shadows. With a surge of courage, Lila snapped the tendrils of dark grip with sheer will. She summoned everything inside her, every bond forged through laughter, every incredible moment shared, every weighty memory. With one final move, she surged into the light, encasing Emma, arms flung wide. Just as she could see the faint outline of her daughter's face, Lila squeezed her eyes shut, embracing the warmth of their connection, the love transcending all darkness. We're a family. We will fight together. I love you, Mom. Emma's voice filled with genuine warmth, breaking through the cacophony of evil swirling around them. The force of Lila's love burst forth, blinding the shadows in a brilliant light, illuminating the forest's dark corners, scattering the evil back like dust. Together, Lila shouted, together. And in a flash of brilliance, shaking loose the tendrils clawing for them. Lila felt their family bond shining bright, a bond forged from every hardship, every loss, every moment spent loving freely. With a final thunderous roar, the beast fell back into the shadows, defeated by what it could not comprehend. Heart racing, Lila opened her eyes, breathless, as she stood in the clearing, surrounded by peaceful trees. No shadows, no whispers, only the soft rustling of branches. Jacob and Emma stood beside her, eyes wide with wonderment as the forest breathed deeply around them. The warmth of dawn broke over the horizon, golden and bright, spilling light across the woods. Lila embraced her children, tears blurring her vision as she squeezed them tight. "We made it," she whispered, her voice cracking. "We're safe." But in her heart, she knew the shadows would always lurk just beyond the light. Whatever was left behind would stay entwined with Maple Hollow, threads of fear woven into the very fabric of their home. Yet they stood stronger now together, willing to face whatever awaited them in the deep, dark woods, united, and as the first rays of sun cascaded down, the call echoed, "Mom, Emma, Jacob, let us go home." There was brightness ahead and whispers falling away. There was strength in love, courage in family, and with every step taken, they would face whatever lay ahead, together. Now, don't wait even one more second. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will send shivers down your spine. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm, it really matters. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this wild ending. And you need to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us spread the thrill together.